we are. Zorc is no more. He's done. Stick of working you, Zorc. You're done. I didn't realize that was going to that was going to rhyme. I'm kind of conflicted about this episode. I am. I'm very conflicted. I ultimately decided to give the sub the point, but I was kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Ultimately, what gave the sub the point was the second half of the episode. I'll just go ahead and be honest with you, especially that final scene. That final scene with Seto, with Priest Seto specifically, it is just beautiful. In both versions, admittedly, but especially in the sub. After all of the stuff Priest Seto has done and yada yada yada, I love that bit. So, but we should cover the real final fight against Zorc before we get to that. So, so the episode starts off and the sub immediately loses me. Like this is why I say it's the second half that gets the sub the point and not the first half, because the first half threatened me to give the point to the dub. And I mean that sincerely. The reason why is because Zorc in the sub basically comes out with the cliched, asinine, and the speech I fucking hate how many times fiction has fucking pulled it, the human suck speech. You know the one. Humans have the capacity for evil and they kill each other over and over and over again. Blah, 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 blah. It keeps fucking being said, and I keep hating it every time it is, because every single time that argument is brought up, it just sucks. Also, I should have mentioned this. I thought I mentioned it last time, but I didn't. The okay, there's not. Sorry for the cut for the editing, but yeah, I should have mentioned it last time. But the background, but I actually got those today, and I've I recorded the Dark One Cometh today. Hey, I said I was finishing Zorc today, and I meant it. I meant to talk about to mention it last time. I did not, so I'm mentioning it this time. So now we have a better backdrop for these videos instead of the ugly green cement. Which, yeah. So, yeah, Zorc makes the stupid. It makes the stupid human suck speech, and then the gang get there. I like that Atem calls out for Yugi in both versions, by the way. Nice little touch. Apparently, Mahad is resurrected by Yugi using the duel disc, as the sub tells us, so that's cool. Cool. And then when Joey calls out Red Eyes, I just kind of had to put a note down. I wish Red Eyes was prominent in this arc, but it's not a deal breaker. I kind of wish Red Eyes had like a backstory in this thing, kind of like Blue Eyes does with Kisara, But, it's not a big deal. So then those riders are revealed to be regenerating ghosts, because of course. The gang decide they're going to fight Zorc because they can't tell Atem his name. Life points are an indication of Ba in the sub, apparently, which is actually kind of a nice touch. Mana, of course, summoning out Dark Magician Girl to come and help. The Dark Magicians are destroyed, unfortunately. But then they get it, which causes Manda to collapse, of course. But then Taya gets an idea because the cartouche falls out, and she's like, "That's what we could do. We can concentrate. If we concentrate on those hieroglyphs, we can put it on that cartouche. And if Atem can read the cartouche, he knows his name, him." And so they concentrate. Zorc tries to stop them because he knows Atem can read hieroglyphics because, he's been regaining his memories bit by bit. Yet Kaiba saves them with Ring of Defense. Kind of nice. Nice. Atem declares his name. Sorry about that. Atem, the name appears on the cartouche. He ends up knowing his name. He announces that his name is Atem, and that allows him to revive the gods. Zorc in both versions is like, you already tried this and failed. Hell, the gods are just gonna die again. And then Atem, I like what Atem says is when he does this better in the dub. There was one thing I didn't do last time: merge them together. That is apparently the power his name grants him this time instead of just sealing him away. It is implied in both versions that this is actually really the end of Zorc. Zorc cannot be revived past this point because he has been completely and utterly destroyed. And I kind of like that. It's hinted at because you didn't have friends last time. All you could do was just seal him away last time. But now you have the power of friendship on your side, and that allows you to destroy it by summoning Holakti, the creator of light. Right. Which Zorc is kind of shocked at. Her ability apparently is called Joser. Okay, sure. But yeah, the creator of light destroys Zorc. Zorc is no more. Or Zorc literally says in the dub, "I'm gonna take you with me," and Atem literally barks back, "Guess again, Zorc." And I kind of like that, admittedly. That's why I'm so conflicted with this, right? But then Holakti in the dub is just like, "Yep, this is not the end, but but this is the end." Or no, sorry, declares that this is effectively the end. That you're close to the end of your journey, Ernie. But there's no more evil ever. There's going to be no more evil ever because they even make Atem even kind of just is like. Because they're like, "Oh, so what's going to happen now?" And Atem's just like, "I guess we wait for the next bad guy." And then Holakti is just like, there won't be any more bad guys. It's like, let's see. Well, let's see. The Shadow Riders, Kagemaru, Professor Viper, the Society of Light, the Light of Destruction, Action, let's see. The Dark Signers, the Barians, Zone. Yeah, fuck you, Dub Holakti. You're an idiot. Defeating Zorc did not destroy evil forever. You dumbass. Not even in the dub, because remember, every Yu-Gi-Oh show past this point has been dubbed. God. I mean, granted, I probably shouldn't have mentioned Zone in that because Zone was a sub-exclusive villain, but you get my point. Sorry, that has always bugged me. It doesn't bug me so much in Power Rangers because it was meant to be the end, and effectively when they were writing Power Rangers in Space, it was meant to be the end of the entire franchise right there. It was meant to be the end and full stop. But Power Rangers in Space revitalized the franchise, and we got Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. Elixir, Lightspeed Rescue, Time Force, Wild Force, so on and so forth, right? So Kaiba snarks at the gang, and you know, Kaiba is just like, this is all one big trick. Hey, because he says, "Oh, maybe there is some truth to it," and then Joey's like, "Oh, hey, he believes in magic." No, I said this was all a magic trick. Oh, fuck off. And yeah, I'm color me in the camp that this I don't believe in magic shit. It is something that the later portion of the dub really shouldn't have fucking introduced. If anything, it should have been something that the early dub introduced, and then slowly Kaiba just stops adhering to that rhetoric until we get to this point. I have understood that magic is real for a while, Wheeler. You're just an idiot and couldn't tell, or something. Calls him an amateur in the Seto calls him an amateur. Amateur declares that nothing surprises him anymore too. Which, yeah, okay. Hey, you're still a dick, Seto. No, for calling Joey an amateur, because that shit is still stupid. And always has been. And always will be. Hey, it's also why his placement in the KC Grand Prix is a crock of shit that should never have happened. Yes, I'm still fucking pissed. I stand behind. Down in Flames, I think it was called. Hang on. And I gotta flip back. Yeah, there's a reason why Down in Flames was a fucking rant view. Hated that episode. Fuck that episode. Sorry. Still a little bitter about that episode. Fuck the KC Grand Prix. God. Anyways. He's so then Natem declares that Priest Seto is now Pharoh Seto. And the reason is that this is the world of his memories, and so he, for all intents and purposes, can't exist here anymore. He's done. He's at the point now where it's time for him to go because he doesn't exist in that world anymore. I would argue, yeah, there's something to be said about like droid effect and whether or not that world of memory still exists or whatnot. But let's say, for the sake of argument, that because it's the end of the story, that's the end of that is the end of Atem being able to exist in the world of memories. That doesn't explain why frickin' the gang could exist there at all, because keep in mind that was the whole point of them not being visible to anyone. Sorry about that. That was the whole point of the gang not being visible to anyone. But whatever. You are now Pharoh. They head off. And that is indeed the end of the world of memories. For good. The episode ends with a beautiful shot of Seto with Blue Eyes he's hovering over him. And that is it for the name of the Pharoh. I did not mark a grade down. Unfortunately, this episode definitely was kind of a lower end, so I'm going to be generous and give it a C. I know that may seem ridiculous, but again, it's all about how the sub and the dub coalesce, right? Even in the sub, I think I would actually give this a C rank because of that stupid fucking speech at the beginning, right? And the creator of light literally coming in and saying the power of friendship is awesome. Like, fuck off. That is cornball bullshit, and you know it. Oh wait, at least East Holocti's bullshit in the dub is just proven wrong by future projects existing. Although what makes Halakti's thing in the sub even fucking worse was something that I hope I mentioned all the way back in what was the name of that episode? Give me a sec. I need to flip back to the beginning of the arc. Unwanted guest. All the way back at the beginning of it, I'm hoping I mentioned it during Unwanted Guest. The whole at the beginning of the KC Grand Prix about how GX was already airing in the dub at this point. So even from the dub's perspective, there was really no freaking reason to say this. Because you had to have known what was coming, right? You had to have been working on those episodes at this point, right? So why did this get through? Whatever. I guess I'm nitpicking at this point, but you get my point. Yeah, this is a C rank episode. Oh, so yeah, this does pull down its rank pretty brutally. Pretty brutally, but well, not brutally, but like it brings it down. But you know what's funny? No episode is scored below a D in this arc, and no multi-parter has been below an A. I think actually the intruder might have been unless the intruder was. Give me a sec. Let me flip back to the intruder real quick. Nope, the intruder was A. A, yeah. So, unless Village of Vengeance... Okay, Village of Vengeance was a B. So no multi-parter was below a B rank. That's fascinating to me, honestly. But regardless of any of that, that's it. That's it. That's it for the Shadow RPG. It's done. It's cooked. We're good. But the journey is not yet over. We still have one last thing to do. One last part of the journey to go on. The dub will call it the final journey next week, but it's really the final test, as the sub puts it. 2 videos left. We're down to the wire here, guys. Only 2 more of my videos exist for DM. And then there's DSOD, and then for all of the for Yugioh and his friends, that's going to be the end of it. Unless I decide to throw in a bonus, which I might just do. I'll play it off screen, but I think I am actually going to throw in a bonus just cuz I want to poke fun at at a certain video game that uses the DM thing. I could, which is funny because I could also do some of the other video games, but that would require a bit of extra work, and I don't feel like doing that right now. Regardless of any of that, even if I don't, we're coming down to the wire now. Excuse me, we're coming down to the wire. We're almost done DM. This is a weird feeling. I'm so weirded out that we're here. And it's gonna feel even weirder when I sit down to record the final duel, the video on the final duel. God, this has been a treat. Admittedly, I know I've been grumbling and saying I don't think I'm ever watching DM again. Yeah, I think there's 2 exceptions to that. Duelist Kingdom in Duelist Kingdom, specific duels in Battle City, the virtual world. Yeah, you know what? Maybe I will watch DM again. Front to back, nah. Certain arcs, yeah, I could see myself watching them again. But regardless, that's it for me. Until next time, this is Blue Wolf Alex of the Lore Walkers signing out. Have a good one, and because Anzu switched back, Duel stand by.